All right, in this example, we're going to look at process check and radio buttons. And you can see we have two files open. The process check radio button one, that's in the scripts folder, and the checkboxes radio button PHP file, which is one level up in the web forms folder. So we can show you how we can actually work with these because they provide some interesting functionality, as you're going to see. And we'll slide down here. All right, so what you can do is, we have data that's already in there. You can check things if you want to. You can see that they're easy to check. We'll just check one of those and we'll answer the question and we'll check these. So we can hit the send us your comments. And then you can see we have some server information here. We're going to look at the request method. And you can also take into consideration the server variable query string if you're using a get, and we can change this up to use get or post. It doesn't matter, we're using get here. This is actually the process file, so we can ignore that one, but in this file we're using post, so we'll change it to a get. And just so it's a little bit more room in that process file, we're going to put a br tag at the end of this because it's kind of jumping right next to each other. There's one missing there. We'll do a refresh here just to see that again. And you can see that we're using the post method, and there's no query string. The server request URI is actually going to be this page here, all the way with the form there. That's the page that we have here. And here is the HTTP refer, and then you can see this is using our IP address with the prefix here, and all the way to the file itself, all the folders that would be nested there. That's where this particular page is getting its form variables from. And this is what you can check to make sure that it's coming from the right place. HTTP refer isn't always set, so you have to be careful of how that's going to be processed depending on what you're trying to do. And it doesn't always come from another page outside of your domain, for example. It's not always set. And then we have some post parameters here that are just listed out. And you can see the values that are listed. And for the most part, that really is what we're going to concentrate on. We're just going to refresh that and do it as a get this time. Anything will do. And this is still doing a post. Let's see if we save that file. We didn't save the file. Now we have to refresh it. And we can go back here, set here, check a few things. And now you see the get. This is the request method get. These are the query parameters, query string. Using server query string, we return that. And then we have the URI here, the request URI, and that's going to append that query string because it is a get, and that goes to the end of that. So that's why one reason for using another way of getting that page is that query string is definitely going to make it very, very long. So you can get that from another method that we can take a peek at. And then the refer as well is still set there. So that query string is going to get added there. So let's take a quick peek at the code there so we can take a look. We'll make some more room here. And you can see that we have those server methods here. Those are up top here. Server variables. And then you can see we just do a for loop here to get the parameters. So nothing special here that is going to cause us any problems as far as dealing with those checkboxes and radio buttons. They're echoed out, no problem. You can see here though that the values here, as far as the spam value, the check one, it's going to be the values that we have in those selection fields, 6 to 12, and then we have education, college, graduate. So we can take a peek at that. And if we select here, we have to name these the same names that we could do when we're naming our regular input variables. Newsletter, it has a checked value of 1. Whenever it's checked, it's going to be 1. Otherwise, it won't be showing up there because you didn't have it there. So you'd have to fill things in with a 0, for example, instead of the empty string if you wanted to process it, or just make an if statement to take that into account. You just want to make sure you have a value there checked, or make an if statement there to add a value on the server side in case you want an alternative value in there because it's going to be there just for the checked values there. And put whatever you want here in the checked value that you want to go into the database, or maybe something more cryptic, and then change it on the server side. And these are checks as well, different names, and you can insert them into the database. You try to give these the same name as the fields that are going to go into your database, even the input fields. With radio buttons here, you can see they're all named the same name there. That's how they work. This is standard HTML stuff right now. And then you give it a value, 0 to 6, 6 to 12. This is the checked value, 12 plus, and this is what's going to be sent to the server side. And then we have these. These are going to be passed as the value there. So that's what is going to be sent there. Not a big deal to do that. You just have to keep in mind with the radio buttons, we have the same name, and then the value that's selected is going to be passed. And that's really all there is to processing that. You can see that we're just echoing it out. Key value pairs as usual, and we can also do a count here. Because post is an array, we can get the count of that. And then if we have a count greater than 0, we know it was set. And use the other techniques I describe in processing get and post to do even more things there that are going to allow you to really set things up.